Aerial shot of a dense forest in the twilight, a car winding along a lonely road. The thick fog rolls in as the sound of the wind howls through the trees. The camera cuts to the inside of the car, showing a young couple, Sarah and Jack. Looking at the map, I'm sure this is the right way. It said the cabin would be deep in the woods, nervously glancing at the darkening forest. Are you sure about this place? It looks abandoned. They drive past a dilapidated sign barely visible through the fog, Whispering Pines. The couple arrives at a rundown cabin. The wooden structure creaks with age. The trees loom overhead, almost unnaturally still. They unload the car, and Jack struggles to open the rusted cabin door. Inside, the atmosphere is eerily quiet, with dust-covered furniture and an unsettling stillness. It has character, right? As she speaks, a distant whisper seems to echo through the room. Jack pauses, glancing over his shoulder, but there's no one there. Did you hear that? The first night, the wind outside picks up, causing branches to scratch against the windows. Sarah and Jack lie in bed, both awake, though neither admits it. It's just the wind. Relax. Suddenly, they hear soft footsteps above them, like someone slowly walking across the attic floor. The two freeze. Jack, we don't have an attic. The camera pans to the ceiling, where faint, shadowy movements can be seen between the wooden beams. The footsteps stop, followed by a loud thud as something heavy drops to the floor. The next morning, Jack investigates the sound. He finds a hidden door leading to a staircase under a rug in the living room. The stairs descend into a dark cellar. Holding a flashlight, "Stay up here, I'll check it out." He descends into the cellar, finding old, rotting furniture and a strange smell. In the far corner, he spots a dusty mirror with scratches across its surface. As he moves closer, a figure suddenly appears in the reflection, standing right behind him. Jack spins around, but there's no one there. That night, Sarah and Jack hear more whispers. They come from the cellar, but this time they are clearer, almost like voices speaking through the walls. Sarah, drawn to the mirror, gazes into it. Her reflection slowly distorts, a shadowy figure appearing beside her.
Jack.
Something's in the mirror. Jack rushes to her side, but the figure vanishes. The scratches on the mirror now spell out a single. As the tension builds, the couple decides to leave, but the forest outside has changed. The path they came from is now overgrown, the trees twisted into unnatural shapes. The fog is thicker, and the whispers grow louder, surrounding them. Every direction they turn, they seem to end up back at the cabin. "We're trapped!" As they run, they notice shadowy figures moving in the trees, watching, whispering. Back at the cabin, Jack tries to break the mirror, believing it to be the source of the haunting. As he raises a hammer, the shadowy figure steps out of the mirror, now fully formed. It stands still, a featureless silhouette, its whispers filling the room. "Shadow," in a cold, echoing voice, "you should have stayed." The room plunges into darkness, the whispering deafening. Sarah screams as the shadows envelop them both, their faces twisted in terror. After the shadowy figure disappears, the couple desperately searches for answers. Jack finds an old, weathered journal hidden in the cellar, covered in dust. He flips through its pages, revealing the chilling history of Whispering Pines. The journal belonged to the previous owner, a man who detailed the strange occurrences he witnessed before vanishing. He writes about voices, shadows, and something lurking in the mirror, the same things we've seen. As they read further, the journal reveals that the spirits in the cabin were former guests who had never left. They became part of the haunting. Sarah-fied, "We're next, aren't we?" That night, Sarah and Jack both experience vivid nightmares. Sarah dreams of the shadowy figure dragging her into the mirror. Jack dreams of the cabin's previous occupants, pale, hollow-eyed people whispering his name, beckoning him to join them. He wakes up in a cold sweat, only to see the figure from his dream standing at the foot of his bed. "Shadow, you can't leave." He blinks, and the figure is gone. The clock reads 3:33 a.m. He hears Sarah's voice from downstairs, calling his name softly, but when he goes to investigate, he finds her sound asleep in bed. The following morning, Sarah discovers strange markings on her arms, deep, claw-like scratches that appeared overnight. Jack checks his own arms and finds similar marks. "What is this? I don't remember getting these." As they look closer, the scratches form strange symbols that match those found in the journal. The markings seem to be a part of an ancient ritual meant to bind them to the cabin. We need to get out now, before we become part of this. Determined to escape, Sarah and Jack pack their things and rush to the car. As they speed down the winding road, the forest around them begins to warp and twist. The trees contort unnaturally, bending toward the car as if trying to ensnare them. The whispers grow louder, echoing all around them. "Sarah, why can't we get out?" They drive in circles. No matter which direction they go, they always return to the cabin. Suddenly, they spot a figure in the middle of the road, one of the previous victims, pale and lifeless. Jack swerves to avoid it, but the car crashes into a tree. Both are knocked unconscious. They wake up back inside the cabin, disoriented and terrified. The mirror now dominates the room, its surface pulsing with dark energy. Sarah and Jack realize that the cabin itself is alive, feeding on their fear. The journal revealed that the only way to end the cycle is to destroy the source, the mirror. Jack, desperate, "We have to break it. It's the only way." As they gather their strength to smash the mirror, the shadows in the room begin to materialize into human forms, the previous victims. They approach Sarah and Jack, their whispers growing louder, pleading for release. "They don't want us to destroy it." Jack hesitates for a moment, but then he raises the hammer. Just as he's about to strike, the shadowy figures rush at them. Sarah screams, and the screen cuts to black. The next morning, a local police officer arrives at Whispering Pines after a report of unusual activity. He cautiously steps inside the cabin, which appears eerily normal in daylight. The officer finds the journal lying open on the floor. As he flips through the pages, he notices new entries, Sarah and Jack's names written in shaky handwriting, alongside dates of their stay. Officer, looking around uneasily. Another pair, just like the others. He takes out his phone to call for backup, but before he can dial, he hears a whisper. It's faint at first, then louder. Whispers, "Stay." The officer's eyes widen as he looks at the mirror. The camera pans in, revealing Sarah and Jack's reflections, now trapped within. After the failed attempt to destroy the mirror, Sarah and Jack start to lose hope. They search the cabin frantically for another way to escape, stumbling upon a hidden door behind a bookshelf in the living room. It leads to a small, dark room with symbols etched into the stone walls and candles melted down to nubs. This is where it all started. The room contains an ancient altar and a blood-stained book filled with cryptic incantations. As they flip through the pages, they discover it's a ritual to trap souls. The ritual was performed generations ago, binding the spirits of the victims to the cabin. This is how they've been trapping people here. We're not the first. Sarah notices her name, along with Jack's, written in the book, dated the night they arrived. It dawns on them that they've been part of this ritual from the moment they entered the cabin. "We've been marked. There's no escape." Just then, the walls of the room start to shift, the symbols glowing a faint red. The whispering grows louder, and the spirits trapped in the cabin appear once more, surrounding them. "Spirits, join us. Stay forever." A new couple pulls up to the cabin in their car. They step out, admiring the peaceful forest. Inside the cabin, the whispers start again.